The first part of this lesson is expressions with absolute values. So what we're going to do here is we're going to evaluate expressions using absolute values. Now remember, the word evaluate 99% of the time means plug a number in and work it out. And that's exactly what we're about to do. So if you look right here on number 1, you have 16 minus the absolute value of 2z minus 1. So you have a z right here. Now we're not solving this equation. Well, we can't. There's not an equal sign. So we're not going to solve this. All we're going to do is take this z that we have, plug it in, and work it out. So let's go in and plug it in and see what happens. So you have 16 minus the absolute value of 2 times z, so 2 times negative 4 plus 1. Now, you can do this one of two ways. In your calculator, if you remember how to do the absolute value, you can do all of this at one time. But I know some of you are nervous about messing it up, and I would be too. So if you're worried about messing it up, then do your order of operations and do it step by step so you don't make a mistake. So these absolute value bars act like grouping symbols. So we're going to do everything inside of them first, then we'll do what's on the outside. So let's do that first. So first 16 minus the absolute value, and we're going to multiply 2 times negative 4 first. So 2 times negative 4 will be negative 8. Let me back up and use black. There we go. Negative 8 plus 1. So now we're going to keep going inside of our absolute value, and now we're going to do negative 8 plus 1. So we're going to have 16 minus the absolute value of negative 8 plus 1, which would give us negative 7. And this is where a lot of you messed up on the last quiz. Now be careful here. When you take the absolute value of negative 7, remember, you can't just bring that out and make it a negative 7. That's the absolute value of negative 7. So that means absolute value is going to make that 7 positive. So it's going to end up being 16 minus 7, which is going to simply equal 9. So your answer would be 9. All right, let's take a look at number 4 over here. Again, we're going to plug in the numbers. So we're going to have 3 times the absolute value of z minus x. Well, z is negative 4 minus x, which is negative 1. Now, y'all made a mistake on this also on your quiz. Be careful here. There's already a minus in our expression. Then we put another one in there when we put in the negative 1. So there should be 2 minuses back to back. All right, then we say plus absolute value of 2 minus y, and y is 3. All right, let's start working it out. We're going to start inside of our absolute values first. So we're going to do both of our absolute values first. We're going to do negative 4 minus negative 1 and 2 minus 3. So let's do the first one. 3 times the absolute value of negative 4 minus negative 1. Well, 2 negatives back to back make a positive. So it's going to be negative 4 plus 1, which is going to be the absolute value of negative 3. Then plus the absolute value of 2 minus 3, which would give you negative 1. Now we take the absolute value of both of these. Well, since it's a negative 3, that's going to end up being a positive 3. And then the negative 1 will end up being a positive 1. So then we say 3 times 3, which is 9. Then 9 plus 1 is 10. So that's how you evaluate expressions with absolute values. Next, we're going to talk about solving absolute values.